everyone.
Recording in progress.
Hello. Welcome to You Be the Judge. I'm Dr. Paul Dyer, and one of my two lovely co-hosts, Marilyn Pierre, who's running for Circuit Court Judge, and Judge Claudia Barbara. Before we get started, I want to say thank you everyone who does join our show, who shares our show, who listens and comments on our show about You Be the Judge. I do many shows, but this is a format that we have three co-hosts, and we love to listen, learn, and to get people to learn how to bring themselves into an action. More or less, we just have some highly intelligent people here on our show who listens to our show. And I want to get to Marilyn. We missed you last night at a caucus of African American leaders. I know you're busy and running for Circuit Court Judge of Montgomery County. So how was your week?
Oh, my week was wonderful. Thank you very much for asking, you handsome co-host too, because you always say, except for last week.
I know, and
you did not say our beautiful co-host. I did not take it personally, but you always say our beautiful, co-host, and we never say our handsome co-host. So our handsome co-host, thank you very much. Sorry I missed the meeting. You could tell us a little bit about it, if you would like to. And I know Judge Barbara was there as well, and maybe she could tell us about it as well.
Well, yes, but your week was good. So, Judge Claudia Barbara, how was your week? And I was just such a joy to run into my partner yesterday and give her a warm hug after all this COVID mess. It was just a blessing. Thank you, Judge Barbara.
It was a treat, and the food was delicious. I mean, absolutely wonderful food. It was not dessert. It was not just dessert.
It was food. It was food.
Wholesome food.
Yes. Now you tell me.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I came in late, and I missed where you guys were touching and filling everybody out. So.
Caucus of African American
Don't say that. We might get in trouble.
Well, I'm like, where were you guys at? Because, my daughter called me from Cornell today, and there's over 1,000 new cases of COVID. They actually have transitioned to online test. All their tests now are going to be given online. Their finals are in finals week. So everything's been transitioned to online. And she had said, can we come pick her up? So I don't know. So I don't know where you guys have been touching folks, but
we were we were masked. Yep. Number one.
Oh, hey, let me tell you, mask, no mask. I'm like, this environment. And people keep saying since COVID's over, COVID is not over. We got to really just start saying, as we learn to live with COVID, because COVID is not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. It's here to stay. We got to learn to live with it. And it's not going nowhere. And we're going to have some bad winters probably for the next several years, some really bad winters, because this is when the flu season and the new different variants of whatever new variant's going to be out there is going to come hitting us.
Well, I am privy to the World Health Organization's committee meetings. I got invited to that since I was an ambassador at the UN. And I listen to a lot of the science and read all the technical briefing that comes across of it. Here's the skinny of it. We are always going to go through variations of COVID. We just are. There is a responsibility that you must take upon yourself to do the things that's going to protect you, loved ones, and others. But don't be afraid. Do not live in fear, because that will hurt your immune system. That will help you hurt your immune system. So take your precautions, get your shots. I'm definitely an advocate for shots. And I don't even like shots. I'll tell you that as a personal thing. I am a anti-vaxxer by belief. But did I get the COVID shots? The answer is yes. Did I get my boosters? The answer is yes. Did I get my flu shot? The answer is yes. But so ask me why I got it. I got it because it's not about my health. It's the health of others. Because we are here to protect each other as human beings. right? We're here to protect each other as human because we cannot do this alone. So it's not just about me. It's about we. So that's why I got the shot. That's why I do the things I do. That's why I stay healthy. That's why I exercise. That's why I meditate. That's why I pray. Because it's not just about my spiritual self, my soulful self, my physical self. It's about helping others so they can thrive and live. That's why we do the things we do. It is a lack of responsibility when you take it upon yourself not to take care of yourself. It's going to harm others. And if the virus has not taught you that, shame on you. Now, Maryland, we have a great candidate that's coming on, and Christa, we'll get to you in a bit. But here's the thing about running for offices. And Maryland's running for circuit court judge. And there are some nasty things going out there that I just want to clear the hell up. There are people trying to take Maryland's license away from her because she's running for circuit court judge in Montgomery County, Maryland. It is the nastiest thing that they're doing to a black woman who's running for judge. They would not do this to her if she was a white male or a white woman. That is just the damn facts. I want to be disputed on it. I want to be called out on it so we can talk about what numbers I see, what numbers do you see, and what are you referencing to say this is not true. Marilyn, I want you to speak about it if you can. What's going on with your campaign and what they're trying to do?
Well, on the advice of my lawyer, I was told to say no comment on things like that. And so I don't want to just open the door and then they say, well, you commented on it, therefore. But it is public information. And so the Washington Post had an article about it. The complaint is public. People can see it. And otherwise, I have to say no comment. And you know how hard that is for me because you know how opinionated I am.
It's very interesting that this topic has come up because we were in an equity and media meeting several weeks ago in which a gubernatorial candidate verbalized and articulated that what people do, rivals do, is they use ethics complaint to weaponize them. Those were his exact words.
Exact words.
To weaponize them against people so that, and the end game is to throw you off the cliff, to throw you off the ballot, to throw you off, to poison the electorate, number one, against you, and to delegitimize your campaign and legitimize more their campaign. So that there's an end game to this thing, and people should see that for what it is.
And most people vote, and this is a sad issue, and I've ran with elections. I was on Ralph Nader's scientific advisor when he ran for the president. I was on his staff. The sad issue is people use emotions to win elections and to kill elections. This has nothing to do with facts, people. This has nothing to do with facts. Voters vote emotionally, and we cannot stop that from happening. So what happens to people is that they ride the wave of emotions. Because people who are educated voters, there's only 20% of you. You couldn't win an election if you wanted to, educated voters. It is the non-educated voters who vote through emotions and personal feelings. That's it. So enough with being said. Marilyn, you want to introduce our guest?
Yes, thank you very much. It is my pleasure to introduce Miss Christa Tischy. Miss Tischy is a longtime resident of Montgomery County, Maryland. Christa, if I may call you that, is a widow who reared her two sons in Montgomery County. She struggled to make ends meet working part-time jobs while attending college. And so she went into the she became an electrician, and she joined the electrical union and eventually started her own small electrical company. She is one, if not the only, female master electrician in Montgomery County. And she is now running for council member in Montgomery County. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Christa Tischy to You Be the Judge. Yay!
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Marilyn. What a wonderful introduction. You made me feel welcome, all of you. And I'm honored to be here tonight as your guest. I've already learned a lot just listening for the last few minutes regarding COVID, regarding elections, and I hope I get to learn more from each one of you this evening, on your comments or, how you feel. I would like to just, expand a little bit about myself and why I chose to run. And Marilyn already mentioned some of it, but, I came here to Montgomery County, because I was a single mom, and I had some friends here that I knew from New York. I'm originally a New Yorker, if you haven't figured that out by the accent. And
I'm a Bronx kid myself, so don't worry about it.
So yes, I was born in Riverdale and I raised in the Bronx. And there were a family of 7, and we were very close. We stuck together, myself and my siblings. And my mom got sick, and I was trying to do school, and we all had to kind of pitch in and help out. And then I married. And I found myself, a single mom. And I thought that maybe if I went back to school, that would solve all my problems. And I attempted that path. And what I found was I was working part-time jobs, trying to go to do daycare. I tried teaching hands-on science in the county. And I loved all the things that I was doing. But I didn't see the future didn't seem really bright and sunshiny. It seemed like it was just a very long path. And I think I wanted more. I wanted to see the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. Like I wanted to see that future that we all strive for, to own my own home one day, to have a little car in the driveway, see my children get a good education. So I was actually at the college and somebody said, a friend of mine said, why didn't you try a trade, Chrissy? And I said, a trade? What do you mean? They said, well, like plumbing or something like that. And I said, me, a trade? And I had these opinions, right, about trades. And so I thought about it a little bit. And they said, well, you get into the trades and the programs and they teach you as you learn and you get like pay increments. And I kind of thought about it a little bit and I thought about it. And, I said, and it kept coming back in my mind. And I thought, what, when something keeps coming back in my mind, I got to take an action. So I pursued it and I found someone that directed me to the union. And he said, what trade? And I was over at Montgomery College at the time. And he said, you look like you're lost, ma'am. What building are you looking for? And I said, well, I'm looking for, the trade department. And he said, well, what trade? And out of nowhere, because to this day, I still kind of smile about it, I blurred out electrical. I knew nothing about electricity. Why didn't I say mechanics? Why didn't I say plumbing? I could have said HVAC, but I said electrical. And he said, well, that's strange because I'm the head electrician at this facility, and I want you to go down to this union hall and you tell them I sent you and you get into this program and fast forward 5 years later, I entered the program. I came out with, a licensed electrician and I emailed that gentleman when I graduated and let him know, that I had, mastered the program and that I appreciated because had I not bumped into him, he set my path for the next, for many years. And so I got into the electrical. I enjoyed it. I worked for the union and the unions are wonderful and I'm very supportive. But if as a single parent, mom, or even, dad, it's sometimes the hours can be challenging because daycares don't open at 4:30 in the morning right. And daycares don't stay open till 6:30. So I did my best juggling and eventually I started working nights and I worked on the third rail, with Metro. And I was the only woman the only one on a job site, the only one at Metro, the only person that looked like me with a crew of about 7 or 8 guys. And they made sure I was safe, even though I was the supervisor at the time. And I did this for quite a while, and I learned a lot. Learned a lot about electricity and just and being a human being that cared about others and their safety, because safety was critical. You always had to know where the next person was in line, to your left or your right. Make sure anybody that was working on something energized, that there was someone around. And it was a very good lesson for me. And I also formulated friendships and relationships, and eventually, when that ended, I was didn't know what to do. Where do I go? So I studied for all the licenses that I needed. I had the masters for the different areas, Montgomery, Maryland, DC, Virginia. And I kind of took a chance and I said, let me see if I can do this for myself. And I started to. And I kind of got out there and I had a few friends that needed some work, and I started helping them, and then a few more friends. And I found I could be available to my child, and little by little, it just picked up. And, the trades have taught me that I don't always have to have that 4-year college path in my mind to be successful. Don't get me wrong, I'm still finishing up a poli-sci degree now. I have another semester to go. But what they showed me was that there's other avenues to be successful in life. And at the time, I needed that because I was just, focused in one direction. And this is the only way that I'm going to be able to succeed. Mm-hmm. And it turned out that wasn't the best path for me. So what I'm seeing is, and it may not be for a lot of people, So from that, I've learned a lot. And it's prompted me to want to be able to give back. I'm all about safety. I work with the county, through with residents and things like that regarding electrical. And I see the structures, I see the dreams and the aspirations that we want here, the future of electric. And I want to be able to be supportive of that and also give back to this community what it gave to me, because Montgomery County allowed me for all my dreams kind of to come true. And so that's where my platform comes from. But also the reason why I'm running is because I want to give back now to Montgomery County. And my boys are doing very, very well. I'm actually going to be picking mine up from college tonight after this. And I'll have to see about the COVID, as one mentioned. He didn't say anything about that to me, so I hope so, but it's definitely something to be concerned about. And when I think about the last year and a half, what we've all gone through, with this, and just coming out of this COVID, we will probably end up having to get a booster or a vaccine once a year, I would say, just like we do for the flu shot. You'll get your flu shot and then you'll get your COVID booster. But we've managed to survive. And I know that many of us have suffered in a lot of different ways too, through isolation, sadness, depression, being alone, not being able to interact with others. And yet I believe this community has offered a lot of options and services, to help, the residents here. And once again, that gives me the gratitude, because I think if something's going to happen or is going to improve, this is one of the greatest places to be is Montgomery County.
So, Chrissy, let me ask you a couple of questions before.
Sure.
Your story's compelling.
Yes.
It's great for women, but doesn't seem like men vote for women all that much. It just seems I think, and then women in Maryland are not accustomed to New York accents, right?
True, probably.
Okay, right? And we know New York has got a lot of grit to it, and they may be afraid that you may throw up some hands at the council meeting, think you're going to knock someone out.
Oh my gosh.
So
would that actually be the worst thing?
Right.
Well,
but so there's all these mindsets that it's not just who you are, great. It's not what you can do, awesome. But how do you appeal to voters who don't know you? And that seems to be the struggle for any candidate.
Well, and that's a really good question, because now you're making me think. Well, I would say as a woman, I also connect with men a lot too, especially in the trades. Coming up, most of my friends were at school. I was the only woman amongst a classroom of men, a job site of men. So men have always been my role models, to say the least, and I've learned. So to me, if you model or mentor a certain person, you reflect what they teach you, right?
Right.
So I should have the same mindset and the same way of thinking that my role models had. In that way, how can I help the county with the judgment? There's a certain amount of knowledge that I say I have that maybe not other council members possess, in the sense of the trade industry. So I can take a look at, let's say, a situation that might need to be dealt with the building structure, and look at the engineering aspect and present that. And I would have sound knowledge to make that assessment. Or maybe even like EV vehicles. I have ideas for the electric chargers on how to set them up when they have sidewalks, and how are we going to get the power there. I've been working on a drawing right now, how to integrate solar. I'd love to see a platform for our youth on the school level of building tiny houses where the students could actually participate in that construction. Doesn't that sound awesome?
So in Montgomery County has some issues,
yes,
right? Montgomery County has issues. What are the issues that you notice that they've had that no other council person has ever addressed, and they keep sweeping underneath the carpet? Because for minorities, there's a ton. And for... Yes, go ahead.
I want to go back just a little bit, because I do think it's important to say that I don't agree with the premise that men don't vote for women. I think men vote for women, and it depends on what the woman's position is and whether or not they agree with that person. So but just to go forward in reference to your question and the issues that Christa is working. Do you want to be called Christa or Christy? Because I was called.
You can call me Christa's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So now that I have made my opinion known, we could then answer.
But it's a very relevant question, because I think that it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
There were plenty of men that voted for Hillary Clinton. Then there were men who refused to vote for Hillary Clinton because she was a woman. So, that variation happens in elections. And during one judicial election many years ago, there was one, the Anne Arundel County in particular, voting wise, they had this trend where the voters were pro-women, continuous women. And then when I ran in 2016, that wasn't the case, because, again, I was kind of a change maker, a change agent. And I ran one of the candidates that ran in a contested election that I was speaking of years ago. She won. She was at the top of the ballot, but she was a white female. But again, so the trend varies, and it's kind of hard to say that men consistently don't vote for women. And now the other thing, we have a very exciting Maryland Attorney General race that's revving up. And you have, very prominent figures going against each other in that particular race on the Democratic ticket, on the Democratic nomination side. So we'll see, whether or not it's a male thing or a female thing, or is it a qualification thing? A lot of times it's not qualifications.
It's not qualifications. It is never. I I don't remember an election that a person won on qualifications only.
Well, there have been a lot of unqualified people running for various offices,
Yes.
including President of the United States and including county executives and so on. We could keep going.
But what I'm saying is that I cannot think of one election in let's think of all the presidential election. I can't think of one that was based on qualified. Can I think of one?
Yeah, but they don't have to qualify for much.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Be a citizen in a certain age, and that's mainly about all they have to qualify for.
Right.
In a presidential election.
Especially if you're white and male.
Especially if you're white and male.
Especially. Well, even if you look at our current governor, I mean, I don't see where his qualifications were there when he was first elected governor.
Right.
Well,
I didn't see it.
Will?
Okay. 32 years ago, I was the treasurer for Alan Chung, who ran for the Board of Ed. He was the first Chinese American elected to office in Maryland. People voted for him because they were willing to try something new. They wanted to try something new. Maybe that works with you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm sorry, Kristen. Let me just, I think what people are trying to say is that I guess we were concerned about the county council in Montgomery County. Out of the 7 members currently there's only one woman, and that's because there were plenty of women.
Yes.
Yeah, there were plenty of women who ran.
Right.
So it's not you personally, Kristen. We're just here trying to say, we want to make it different.
Yeah, and we're looking at the landscape, and they don't like. I mean, that's what you're running up against.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, again, it varies, and sometimes it requires new people to energize the voters to get them to push and rally behind you. And I can give an example. Just not 4 years ago, but a little bit more than 4 years ago, there was a very interesting race for Annapolis mayor. And you had kind of an elder statesman who was a state senator running for mayor against a restaurant owner who is from Australia. And had not as much name recognition, but he was new and he wanted to try new ideas for the city of Annapolis. And the voters were sold on that new agenda, new ideas, new voice in Annapolis. They did not choose the same old, the status quo, the same old, the politician, that for life, or the politician that has been there forever. They voted against that and put in office an Australian-born citizen who came to this country. And worked in the restaurant industry, and now has owned several restaurants, to be their mayor. And then not only after that 4 years, they voted back in again.
He's doing great things, but he's doing great things for Annapolis. He is doing good things for Annapolis.
Yes. I just wanted to make a correction. We actually have 9 members under county council now, and the next county council will have 11 members. So out of the 9 members of the Montgomery County Council
7.
Presently, only one of them is a woman. So that's why I think that's why Paul started asking the question. I just wanted to make you feel like you're not being attacked or anything like that. We're just mainly trying to.
So Christa,
go ahead.
Good. I want to give Christa a chance to respond to that number and how she's heading that straight on.
I would like to say that I could see Christa energizing the women voters of Maryland to vote for her because her journey is different.
Yep.
And because it was a difficult journey and
Yep.
she overcame. I mean, to be a master electrician in a situation where men are in control is very admirable, and I can see how energized she is, and she recognizes what she has accomplished. And so if she can compel people to respect that and to vote for her, I can see her doing it.
But Christa, I'm going to answer this for you. That is what you call New York Bronx grit. Way to go! So.
Yes. And I'm a New Yorker also, so I appreciate that.
So
thank you.
I have to push New York grit over anything because we can push and pull, and we're going to make sure we get on top. I tell you that right now.
That's
but
right.
Christa, you answer politically.
Well, first of all, I think as New Yorkers, we're survivors, but we also have a level of compassion that I find is you don't find anywhere else, but we bring it to wherever we go.
There you go.
And that was instilled in me at a very young age. In fact, that is part of, I believe, why I stuck it out in the trades. Because as a woman I was the only woman on a job site. They didn't even have like a separate porta-john, to be honest with you. I had a rally for that. I rallied for a lot of things for women in the trades that now have come about. We have special teams now. We established, they had the Minority Coalition. I established a certain team that we would do trap and skeet, the Sportsman's Alliance, a woman's team. And they had sick leave that we established, a package that eventually a certain amount of minutes would go to per hour worked to a fund that if you needed to go to the doctor, you were able to do that. You would accrue your little bit of time, and then eventually you were able to take that day so that you were able to take care of yourselves and your health would be constant. And as many of us would always say, I'm not going to go. I don't want to take the day, right? I don't want to lose a day. Well, now people can take the day and not worry about it if they need to go for a physical or go to the dentist. So I think these changes are coming about. And one of the hardest things I would say was when I had to give direction, to a male individual that was a little bit humbling. And they would look at me and be like, are you kidding me? Like, I should be telling you, right? But what I found was respect comes from knowledge. And if someone can teach me something, or if I can learn, I'm all ears because I'm all about learning. Because if I learn, I can become a better person because I know more and I can help others. And, most of the time when I would have gentlemen on my crew they wanted to see me do it first. And if I could do it, then all of a sudden it was like, oh, okay, she knows what she's doing.
Well, I
all of a
applaud
sudden you got that respect, right? All of a sudden it was, yep. So yeah, it's almost like you had to earn it.
I applaud that. I think, however, different times voters, they tune in to different things. Mm-hmm. Now, to get me tuned into someone and have me vote for them, they have to align with my thoughts and process and what's dear to me and what touches a nerve for me. It's great when the candidate comes across to me as someone that's creative, innovative, without sharing all your ideas. But one single thing that touches me as a voter is, the fact that people have an eye on the economy and jobs and the disparity in treatment of how people are employed and who's left out of the hiring process. To me, they're not embarrassed or shameful to say that, hey, we've got to do better in our procurement and our bidding to make sure that everyone is included. Hey, we've got to do better with our streets. If your streets are bad, But we should not be employing people and, having them sit as a street worker for 15 years with no promotion. I mean, what's up with that? If your system is like that, go in there and change it. It's exactly right. That's right. If you see a whole bunch of people of color at the bottom and nobody at the top, we
gotta call people out. I think I think Bernadette's got a question, but I think 2022 election, I want people to be called out on the table who has been there, done nothing for the people they're supposed to be supporting. Call them out. If I tell you what, if I was running for an election, I'm glad I'm not. I'll be punching holes in a lot of boats.
Exactly.
If you can't swim, I'm going back in my military mind. I better get out of this. Bernadette, what do you got?
Hi. Anyway, good evening, guys. And by the way, I'll join in the New York love. I'm a New Yorker as well.
What's up? Yeah.
And the Bronx. I graduated from Bronx Science.
No way.
Wow. Yeah, that's right.
Oh my gosh.
There's nobody here from Queens except me.
No, the Mets are from Queens. That's all we get.
But I have a Queens story.
I'm from Queens also.
Oh my gosh. Bronx High School is wow. I was Bedford Park, Mount St. Ursula. We were right around the corner from you on the concourse.
That's right.
That's right. On ring day, we had a roller skate, and they closed off the whole grand concourse for.
That's cool. Anyway, my question, and I'll bring up Queens in my question. My question is, do you have any examples of campaigns where you can get some best practices of what has worked on those campaigns? I wonder whether that helps you. Because, I wanted to just quickly give a story about my cousin. My cousin just won an election, a judgeship in Queens, New York. Thank you. And interestingly, in that race, there was another candidate for another judgeship. She also prevailed. Well, what was interesting was that that other candidate had to deal with a lot of Islamophobia. And somehow she was able to prevail. And I've been wanting to go back to my cousin and ask her about the best practices, what worked in her campaign, what does she know that worked in the other campaign? Because for all of us who are hoping to make a difference, and thank you so much for being willing to run for office. I think this is helpful to what worked, what worked, and is it helpful to you to know, to get mentors or to get stories of best practices and campaigns that have worked?
I would say absolutely, and if you had that information, I would be more than grateful, to also have that. I believe for me, it's talking to people one-on-one, finding out in the community what's important, and letting people know that their voice is important and needs to be heard, and I am going to be the conduit from the voice of the community to the county council. I am that kind of liaison, so to speak. So it's not so much what I feel, it's what the people feel and what is needed to improve the situation that we have here in our county now. How can we make it better?
Right.
That's an excellent one. I would love to see some apprenticeship programs going on here in the county, more so.
That's one suggestion, Bernadette. Excellent. As far as finding out what works and how people who were not necessarily in the best position, how they won. That's excellent.
Okay.
We know in Montgomery County the minorities in the school system has been appalling. It has been downright segregated in the school system of who gets punished, how they get punished, and then no repercussions are ever dealt with at the school level, superintendent level, the principal level. is that something that you have noticed in your research of Montgomery County and the things that just needs to be fixed? Besides, I know you're very passionate about the trades because that's where you lie. But there's other issues going on in Montgomery County that is being swept away without being ever mentioned, ever. It's not even mentioned at all. In any council meeting, they don't even talk about education.
Well, how would I go about, other than speaking with parents, in the situations that they're dealing with students? I was at I spoke with, had a little interview this morning, and what came to mind was, once again, I always use some type of example from my youth. And I remember growing up, and maybe my fellow New Yorkers can also, but do you remember the PAL?
Yeah.
Did any of you belong to the PAL club? Was it a good experience or a bad one?
Auxiliary League?
Yeah, the police auxiliary
the
league.
Police Athletic League.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Athletic
brother.
league?
My brother.
Was it a good experience for you
For me,
folks?
it was.
I'll be honest with you. I had a wonderful experience. I got to do things, and that was, again, once like a mentorship where they taught us. They were like coaches. We had a lot of, I guess, just a good example, growing up of leadership that we had to turn to. And that leadership gave me a good foundation. Are we lacking in the leadership? Where are we, where are we falling short as a community? That's what I have to look at. And
we have a hand that's up.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Ronald Pialui. I'm also from Brooklyn, New York. But the question.
Hi.
So I think about 4 years ago, when the county executive were running,
Yes.
what I went to them and I said, okay, well, how come this area is a blue ribbon education with a lot of government agencies and contractors?
Mm-hmm.
Are they preparing the kids to get the jobs that's in the area? And I was told no. And they've also told me that there were like 27,000 unfulfilled jobs. Now, I don't know if those were trade jobs, but
Yeah.
I think that if they were to educate the kids
Yeah.
and prepare them for the jobs that are available, they would make hopefully a decent living. And I'm sure when people have money in their pockets, crime would not be the thing that they would think about. Now, of course, there are people that will always commit crimes because that's who they are. But in general, I guess the question becomes, what can we do to make sure that the educational system is preparing the kids when they become an adult to take advantage of the jobs that are available in the county? So that's the question. Thank you.
Okay. Well, my response to that would be, I do believe that we need to have more trade schools here. I think we need to have other types of apprenticeship programs that are brought into the schools and introduced to students. There is businesses that could come and show entrepreneurships. There's everything from teaching how to cut hair, to be a barber, to an auto mechanic, to running a business. And if we introduce this at the younger levels and the high school levels, we can kind of give a sense of direction to our youth before they get to a senior in high school and don't have a path or a direction to go. Because once again, college is an option, but it isn't always the choice for everybody. And if we can give instruction or actually a guidance, a means to guide our youth so that they have a plan, knowing that if I do this, I can graduate or I can complete this program in 3 years or 5 years, and I will make this amount of dollars that I know I'll be able to provide for a family. I will be able to purchase a home. It gives us the incentive to go in that direction if we know we can succeed, right? So I followed it because I knew there was the light at the end of the tunnel. I knew I'd be able to do the things that I wanted to do. So I pursued it and went up that avenue. If someone said to me, you can stay here and work at this for the next, and I don't see a future for myself, how do I stay motivated? I mean, we have to be able to give direction that's motivating to the individuals, to our students.
And I was trying to get my hand up, and I can't get my hand up. Where?
Go ahead, Yvette.
I just wanted to briefly jump in, especially from the educational arena. First of all,
yes,
what's missing is we're not meeting our children where they are. That's the first and foremost thing. We're not communicating with the children or the families. We, as we call ourselves educators and professionals, we're making decisions based on what we think and how we've lived. This is a different environment. And these young people tell me every time, what you went through as a young person is not what I'm going through. We have not engaged them whatsoever. I run a youth organization, and actually the youth run the organization. So they have their president, their vice president. So they tell me what they need for me to make them whole. We're not doing that. We just left out that whole community, and we've tried to put them all into this one box, which children do not fit into one box. And really engaging them and allowing them that leadership. And that's what we're missing. We're missing allowing them to be part of the real process and them being at the table, making decisions with us. Like the Board of Education, they have a youth on there all the time, but a lot of times they don't listen to that young man or the young woman who's on there. They have them on there, but they don't listen. They look at what they say. And one of the young men who's a good one to say is Sebastian. He ran for office afterwards because he realized that as a student, he was just there in a lot of, basically for show only. So a lot of his ideas and what his peers were coming back to the table and saying, they so-called act like they listened, but they were just swept underneath the rug. We're not listening to these young people. That's the first and foremost, I want to say. Then secondly, when you talked about what Paul had said about the disaggregated punishment on the young people in the school system, that's easily accessible. You can pull it up easily, knowing exactly. Montgomery County, they have the disaggregated data of in-school, out-of-school suspension for students of color versus other students. That is something that's easily accessible. And I think more people need to look at that data because that data tells it right there. And then when they have the SROs in the school, because now they're taking them out and people have their different views about them being taken out. And I'm one of those ones who felt they should be taken out. But you need to put people back in there that are doing certain things and working with those students, not being punitive. And that's what we're missing. They took them out and didn't replace them with anything. Now that is totally unacceptable. And so where would you sit on that, I guess, on that tier of really helping changing that? Because putting SROs back in school is not the answer. For me, I think, and I believe the answer is, since they've been taken out, what are we going to now replace this with as far as uplifting and motivating these kids and helping them become more independent and giving them those skills to be a productive citizen afterwards? Where do you lie in that, and what are you going to do to make that happen? Oh, and actually here in Montgomery County, they had PAL also, you guys. But PAL wasn't as great, I guess, as it was in New York. So that's all I want to say.
Go ahead, Christine.
My thoughts on that would be, if we remove the SROs, we do have to make some type of replacement. So with COVID having been one of the experiences that provided a lot of negative feelings throughout the county for our youth. Their studies were compromised, their in-school attendance was compromised, their interaction with others there was a lot going on. And I think that mental health is a concern that we all need to focus on. In the past, mental health was always something that we shied away from. We never talked about. It was like something and I think the term was meant, we brushed under the rug. We never acknowledged it because it was something there was a shame issue that was connected with mental health, and it shouldn't be. I think it's something that needs to be brought out in the open. I think it's something that needs to be discussed, and there's no shame in needing to talk to somebody, because that's how most of us heal. through discussion, through conversation, through interactions with others, and sometimes just guidance. I don't know everything, but if I know where to go to get the answers, that's going to help me, right? And then if I get the help I need, I can help the next person in line and share that information with them. So I would say we need to have either social workers or licensed clinical social workers and maybe trainees alongside with them, so that we could have, let's say, one therapist do a rotation, let's say every 3 schools, so that you would have maybe 2 days a week every second week, if that makes sense, because you have 5 days, right? So let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we had one social worker had 3 schools that she went to, or he went to, right? And then on the second and third day, they would return. And then the following week, they would make up that second visit of the third school, and then just keep the rotation. But of course, that would be a start. Our schools are large. So how many students would they be able to see? And then are students willing to say, do they feel comfortable enough to say, I'm feeling really sad right now. I don't seem to be able to get out of the way I'm feeling. Will they offer that information? See, that's the thing. We don't hear about it a lot of times until it's too late, or until already situations take place. So how do we make that available? We let them know that we have a counseling department. We let them know that, and then that it's a welcoming place, and we talk about it.
I just want to jump in and add one more thing you brought one might consider. Near peer counseling works.
Yes.
We have to realize this, we don't want to put counselors. You have to have near peer counselors.
Yeah.
And those individuals who are also culturally competent.
Yeah.
And a lot of times from the same backgrounds. So we talk about counselors, you can't put we have plenty of them out there, and they don't look like any of the kids that they're serving.
Nope.
And that's something that has to change. And that's something that I wanted to hear you say, that making sure we start looking at culturally competent and those coming from the same demographics as our individual students, because that makes a big difference, especially when it comes to mental health.
Will, you had a question. Go ahead.
Christa, you've been answering questions which are the province of the Board of Education and not the County Council. It's the Board of Ed who decides to have more social workers and what have you. That's the first thing. Second thing is, have you sought to get the endorsement of the BCTC?
I have not done the BCTC. I have done the building trades. I have done Sierra and SEIU.
Oh, you have done SEIU. Okay.
Yes. That was actually today, to be honest with you. So we'll see. I don't know. They didn't give me a I hope I answered correct. And I may not have the control over that. But once again, by presenting information sometimes and just having conversations, you put that word out and it makes a difference. But I would, of course, that would not be, like you said, that's the Board of Education. But it starts with the community.
As we wind down on You Be the Judge every Wednesday at 6 p.m., you can always join us here on You Be the Judge. If you like to be on camera with us or on the link with us, please inbox us and through all your social media. You can get all the iPod and your podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, you can get You Be the Judge, Bridges Live, You Be the Judge. As we close out, Marilyn, you have anything for Christa?
I think that we, as a whole, wish Christa the best in her run for Montgomery County Councilmember at large. And if she needs any help, if she wants to come back and tell us about her progress, we will welcome her with open arms.
Judge Claudia Barbara?
I enjoyed the discussion, and it was a pleasure to meet you, candidate Christa. Is it Tischy?
Yes.
Great. Now, I also wanted to just share with everyone that's on the line today that come January 14, one of the largest Martin Luther King banquets will be at the Westin BWI Hotel in Linthicum, Maryland. And we are thrilled that this event is again going to be an exciting, and we're looking forward to it. So President Jackie Alsop, who is president of the Anne Arundel County NAACP, she is part of the Dr. Martin Luther King Committee. But we encourage all of you to come. You can purchase your tickets through Eventbrite. The tickets are there, and many Montgomery County politicians all over.
Okay.
We'll be there.
So it's something that you don't want to miss. And many of us on this actual podcast have already purchased some of our tickets, but we hope you all again consider coming to another eventful banquet that honors the life and legacy of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes.
We have so much fun here, and again, it's about creating a conversation and getting information, and hopefully it turns into an action. There's some great questions over here, not just for Christa, but we're actually, when we ask questions, it may seem like we're asking a person. We're asking the community, because until we put all of our hands in, this just stays the damn same, and it never changes. Because it seems like the same people show up who are working all the time. If you ever go to an event, there's always the same people always putting their hands in, getting the work done. And yet we are a nation of many. We are a nation of people. But we definitely have to pull together so we can do this together. Because no one can do this by themselves. And,
well, Dr. Dyer, I will add that in one instance, when we had a presentation by a gubernatorial candidate, and he ended with this comment that, well, who else will you vote for? Because, there are no Republicans that you should be voting for, and that was an immediate turnoff to me. Right. And that candidate was an immediate no. It just turned me off. So, in other words, just because you're a Democrat,
I hear you.
Just no. Don't ever say that to the public again.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I would like to. I will strive to attend.
Okay, and before we go, since we're making announcements, I just wanted to say that on Friday, this Friday at 7 p.m., I am going to be on Afrique Today, and the show is American Africans United, and our own Dr. Yvette Butler Yaboa is the host of that show. So I hope that you'll be able to join us there as well.
Okay. I am going to do my launch actually on Saturday, January, just before Martin Luther King, that same weekend. So Marilyn, maybe I could share the information with you, and if any of you folks would like to, it'll be virtual. That would be great.
Please share the information with me and I'll send it out.
Well, hopefully we get
I thank each one of you for your time and for your input. It has helped me. So thank you.
Thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Be the judge, and we'll see everyone next week, Wednesday. Thank you, and everyone be safe,
everyone next
be
week.
compassionate,
Bye.
be kind.
Bye. Be safe,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you.